Hello, and welcome to another episode of Trans Heartbeat. I'm your host, Michelle Matlock, and I encourage the use of all pronouns. Today on Trans Heartbeat, I'm honored to be joined by two visionary artists and community builders, StormMiguel Florez and Luna Merbruja. Together, they've launched SANTES, a project that invites queer and trans BIPOC to imagine how we will be remembered, prayed to, and honored as ancestors while we are still alive. What makes SANTES so powerful is not only its boldness in reframing legacy, but also the collaboration at its heart. StormMiguel brings his lens as a filmmaker, musician, and cultural storyteller, while Luna brings their voice as a poet, healer, and ritual maker. Together, they've created a project that blends artistry, spirituality, and community care in ways that challenge how we think about death, memory, and belonging. This is Trans Heartbeat.
I'm Luna Merbruja, and I use they, them pronouns.
And I'm StormMiguel Florez, and I use he, him pronouns. The idea came from, I was telling Luna earlier that it was just like this kind of selfish reason of me feeling like I don't ever know how to pray to the ancestors because I'm like, I don't know if they want to be bothered. I don't know, I don't want to just make assumptions. I don't want to impose. And so I decided like, oh, how cool would it be for us to be able to leave instructions about how we want to be interacted with when we become ancestors and to have agency in that. And it's Santes because it's a play on saints. I grew up learning about saints and learning about if you lose something, you pray to Saint Anthony, you pray to Saint Michael for protection. And there's just like these different things that you think of different saints for. And so I thought it would be great to take that back and bring it to cutie BIPOC community for us to decide like, what is our miracles? Like, what are the things that people can pray to us for? How can we canonize ourselves in each other at this moment so that we kind of just keep living, in people's hearts and minds and even people in the future, maybe who didn't even know us, but they would know how to interact with us. And so, I just wanted to have like a database that we could keep for people and pass on to others to keep for more people in the future.
The only times that we really talk about or think about death is in an advance directive or a last will when people are old, and that's kind of the time when they start thinking about those things. But I had this conversation with my grandparents before this project when I was in my early 20s. And I was kind of asking them what's your plan when you get older? Are you going to be living with folks? Who's going to take care of you? And I started being really upfront about being interested in taking care of them and leading up into in their later years. And I started that when they were still in their early 60s. So they were very independent, still working. There's no health issues on the table, but it was something I was thinking about because it's important that we take care of our elders. And that's just something that I grew up with as a cultural practice. So when it comes to Santes, I kind of have the same mentality of how do you want to be remembered and cared for? How do you want people to feed you on their altar? How do you want to be, loved and revered? And it could also be silly and playful. Like if someone has a favor they want to ask of you, how do you want them to ask it? So I think that it took away, I come from a Christian background, and it doesn't have that kind of air for me. It's more about very spiritual, very magical, very more of my indigenous upbringing of using more herbs and candles and that kind of relationship where it's more wholesome and there's a lot more autonomy rather than strict and there's a procedure that you have to follow in certain religious practices.
Yeah, it is very personal. I think we want people to decide for themselves, if they want to participate. Some people are just like, nah, that's good. They don't really want to be thinking about that or they don't relate to it. It is kind of this covert, we're taking back, we're going to kind of infuse our beliefs into this religion that's been imposed on us. And for us, it's about even taking it beyond that and sanctifying and canonizing our LGBTQ BIPOC community members, because we often don't have a lot of agency. A lot of people lose connection to their own religion because it because so many religions end up denying us and end up rejecting us. We want people to decide when they fill out the form. It is a little based in what Luna and I have known and think about and believe, but there's an opportunity within that for people to make it their own. There's questions, there's at the end that are like, if there's something, if this doesn't, if there's something else, let us know what it is. How do you want people not to interact with you and your ancestor? Some people might be like, don't call on me. And this is my way of saying, like, don't bother me.
There was a poem I wrote actually where I gave some directions of what to do when I pass, and that when StormMiguel brought up this project, it absolutely just clicked. Like I immediately thought of that, some of those directions, which was like one of them was don't put me on the TDOR list. And I think that that's something that not everyone would know right off the bat to do, but that was something that I felt very strongly at the time, that like, do not do this to me. Do not make me a counter. Do not, for whatever reason. It was just important for me to let my death be within my community and not become like a political tool or like a news report. I just wanted it to be for the people who knew me. And there was other directions in there too about don't let white people make art of me. I don't want them to be invoking me. I am not for them. And I've seen them do that to other queer and trans artists of color, where they call on them because of their art, where they were living. And I think that, especially because some of those artists were very pro black and brown, and I think that they would have some feelings about people making art of them that have never done it before, right, while they were living, but then they pass and suddenly people's rights to their bodies and their image and their name becomes a gray area. So from those experiences, when I was seeing that happen within my community to some other artist friends, that's where I got this idea of like, I want to have some boundaries because I don't want to be called in different directions. And there's a certain group of people that I'm here for, and I'm like doing the work in my living. And I also want to do that work in my past life, in my afterlife, to be supporting the community. So I think that's where the agency comes in about autonomy, is like, I want to be there for my community. And I was talking to StormMiguel about some of the silly things too. Like, I don't mind being a petty ancestor. I don't mind being the one that you offer some coins to or some candy because you want to like trip someone on the sidewalk, or like, someone did you dirty and like you want them to lose some hair. That's fine. Whatever it is, like, I'm okay being that person that just cause a little, mischievous energy in your life. Um, and I think because, again, saints have just been these holy figures that only do good, I think we can complicate that. We're messy people. We live messy adult human lives. We can live messy afterlives as well. And I just wanted that to be reflected, that, like, be who you are in the afterlife as well.
Before film, I was writing songs and playing music most of my life. That's my original kind of artistic practice. And I feel like my songs were so deeply personal and so much about death and living, family, people dying, losing, not only like kind of the death of the body, but the death of relationships, like a lot of loss and love. And so it was a very personal space for me. And going into film, it felt more like a communal space. So in a way, it feels like it's tying those things together, because SANTES feels very communal. We're trying to reach out to the full community to say, like, hey, we want to know this about you. If you want to share it, we want to hold this information so that when you pass, we can let folks know what you want, or people can come and see if you're in the database, right? But it feels like a marriage of the two, of like bringing that deeply spiritual, deeply personal into the communal. And that's what SANTES feels like to me, because getting to just think about those things for myself was really great to fill out the form.
When I go, I want you to know I never lived myself. When I go, I want you to know.
We're starting our own podcast that we're going to be releasing around Dia de Muertos, and so that's one piece. It's just to get on, just to talk about all of this with guests and community. And this is all cutie BIPOC. And I just want to say that because I said earlier, like a lot of times LGBTQ or queer people lose kind of access to their own spirit through the spirituality that they were born into. But also like BIPOC lose that through colonization, have lost that through colonization. And that's why this feels so very specific to cutie BIPOC folks.
This is a blessing, my love, to know you have lived a life that will make for many wonderful ancestral myths. Thank you for becoming.
I'm on social media at Merbruja on Instagram and Facebook mostly. And for SANTES, you can contact me or StormMiguel directly for the form. We have it as a Google link form so we can send it out. And then we have an Instagram as well, which is at SANTES Project.
Yes, and by the time this airs, we will hopefully have a web page up, which will be santesproject.com. So you can go there and find the form, and we'll be posting the podcast there as well.
StormMiguel, Luna, thank you both for sharing the vision and spirit behind SANTES with us. Thank you for centering queer and trans BIPOC people in conversation about memory and belonging. In a world that so often tries to erase us, SANTES reminds us that we get to define who we are and how we'll be remembered. It calls us to honor ourselves and each other, not just after we're gone, but while we're here, living, creating, and loving in real time. To our listeners, I hope this conversation sparks your own reflections about legacy, about the ways we hold one another, and about the community we're building that stretches across time. This has been Trans Heartbeat. I'm Michelle Matlock. Thank you for listening, and may we all carry forward the wisdom of honoring ourselves and each other as ancestors in the making.